Hi guys, this is Arif from TechShare. Today I'm going to explore Next.js. I don't have much idea about Next.js. I heard a lot about Next.js in the last couple of weeks. So I was thinking I should explore this framework. And yeah, since I'm just starting, why don't we start together? So let's jump into the development of Next.js. Yeah, so what is Next.js? So Next.js gives you the best developer experience with all the feature you need for production, hybrid, static, and server rendering, TypeScript support, smart bundling, route prefetching, and more. So basically Next.js is a wrapper of React. So whatever you can do by using different component, by creating your own component, you might get all of those things or maybe most of those things out of the box with the support, with the help of within the Next.js framework. So basically Next.js will give you a couple of very nice things like image optimization you will get out of the box if you use Next.js, internationalization, Next.js analytics. Then you really don't need to configure anything. Then it can be configured to use as a hybrid way like SSG. This is static site generation and also the server side rendering. So what are those? We will also learn along the way, not today maybe. And then incremental static generation, TypeScript support, a lot more other thing, fast refreshing, API routing, and yeah, a lot of other thing. So let's just go and let's see how can we start with the Next.js. So first of all, what we need to do, we need to, okay, let me create a directory. On, okay, let me go there, and now let me do the initialization first, and after that what we will do is we'll open it in Visual Studio Code. So if you say code dot, then it will open a new Visual Studio window. We'll get that on, and that is basically the same directory that we just created, and you will have that package.config file here. Okay, now from here we are going to install the Next.js first. So how can we do that? There are a couple of ways. You can start to execute this npx command, but I really like to use this manual step. So let's go there. So what we need to do is we need to use npm install next, then react and react DOM. Once it is there, so it will take a bit time, and after that we'll see a couple of things. Probably we'll see how can we get the dynamic routing feature, how can we get the page routing as well. So well, I mean, we'll see some routing feature today, and then we'll go along the way, we'll cover a lot more things as well. And then obviously the very interesting and my favorite is this server side rendering as well as static site generation. So how can we go developing those things? How can we develop those things will be very exciting to explore. So we'll explore that maybe in the later videos as well. And now so since the installation is completed, so the next thing we need to do is we need to grab these three things. This is basically different commands to start the application. So you can have your next dev, so that the application will be running in dev mode. Then you can build your application, you can also start your application. So what we need to do is you need to go to package.json, find out the script section. This is here, and I'm gonna remove this test and I'm going to put it here like this way, and now save it. Okay, so our configuration is done. Now we are jumping into the sort of so maybe the first thing we can do is we can see how can we go and create some pages. So let me create a folder here. So anytime if you created a pages folder inside the root directory, and if you create a file here, so for example you can say index.js file, and here what we are gonna do is let me do this. We don't need this one, this is part of React. So what we are going to do here, we'll say a constant index, right? And then here we'll say like this, and here we'll say a h1 tag, and we'll say hello from Next.js. Save that one, and then here we'll say npm run dev. So that way you can actually run your application in a dev mode. Oh, it's a cannot find pages directory, that's why. So the pages directory, you see we misspelled this one, so we just need to rename it to pages. So I just mistakenly put extra s, so that's why. So now if you go in npm run dev, then you would see our application is running under this localhost 3000 sorry. And then let me go here. If you run this one, then you will see since the class name is index.js file, so it should grab this index file. Okay, so yeah, so we need to export this one. So what we need to do is export default, and then you can say index, save it, and that should be it. So you can see here we haven't configured any routing, but we are getting routing out of the box from Next.js. So how can I prove that thing in another way? We can create another page called about.js, right? And then what we can do is we don't need to import react DOM anything, because that will get out of the box in Next.js. So we can also say here constant about, we are just creating something here, constant, and then here we can say export default about, and then here we will say this is basically about page, right? And then we'll save this one, and if we say now about, we should say about page. So see, we are doing nothing but just putting our content there, and it will just working. So this is the magic of Next.js. So yeah, I mean, maybe if Next.js would support only these two, I mean sort of file system routing, that won't be very exciting, right? So that would be really good, but won't be that exciting. But now I'm going to show you another feature of Next.js where we can actually control the dynamic routing, and then you will understand how cool it is. So let me create a new folder called posts, and here just assume that you have a list of different posts. So that could be like post maybe 123 dot some file, and you might have hundreds of different files. So you don't need to have that different hundreds of files here, but through the dynamic sort of routing feature of Next.js, you can easily do through this way. So we can say here like this id.js this way. Okay, so there is a square bracket we're using, and that will tell that hey, this id is something a array sort of thing, a collection. So you will get some nice routing feature from Next.js. How? Okay, let me do this here. So let me create another type here. We don't need this one, as I said before. So here we will say constant posts, right? And then here we'll say okay, this post is something like, okay, let me export it, export default post, and then here let me grab one thing here from Next is import use route from Next router. Okay, and here we can say route equal to use route, and then we can get the ID from the router from our route.query, and this query basically returns a object of ID. So we can, if we take this one ID with some value, so if we just take extract the ID here, and here we can say you are visiting this page, for example. Okay, and now out of the box what we get here, let me try. So here we'll say posts, and then we'll say one, Okay, now it is saying that the use route is not a, so that should be use router, I guess. Yeah. Awesome. So now you'll see here, so we get a route like this. So if you press it like 12 1 2 3 for example, then you don't need to have a physical file of 1 2 3 or something, but you will get it like this way. So you will have this one single file will tell the Next.js, okay, so this is my square bracket ID, means anything I'm expecting would be sort of so this post, so my route would be inside the post some ID like this way, and you can take that obviously ID through the query string, and you can do your logic, so you don't need to maintain 1,000 different pages, but on single page all the logics would be encapsulated there, but your route would be completely controlled the same way that you really expected. So this is basically out of the box thing of Next.js in terms of route. So really cool, right? Okay, so to start with the Next is really easy. I found that. I mean, if you want to start with React, that is also not very complex, but in order to achieve this thing in the React, we needed to have couple of things configured, right? You needed to install some router, you needed to install, or you can say some sort of configuration, so that you can bind your different component or page, whatever you really need to go. So you need to do some work for that, but here you really don't need to do anything, because you will get everything out of the box. So this is pretty basic sort of features, hence very important. But if you explore to the next stage, like built-in CSS support. What is built-in CSS support? Then file system routing will show API routes, or maybe what is API route, let me check. So yeah, we'll check that one as well. And then the other thing we'll check is this static site generation, maybe next video. And then zero configuration, obviously we already saw that we really did not need to do any configuration here. So I think this would be my first video about Next.js. I'm planning to create almost 10 if not 15 different videos, and my goal would be, after completing all the different features, probably we'll go with creating some small e-commerce website, and how we can leverage all the different features that we explored by that time can be used there to create a very nice dynamic website in the commerce domain. So that would be my goal. But yeah, till then, bye bye, and I'll catch you very soon with the next video of Next.js.